have realized early on in their life that something wasn't quite right, and it was true for myself as well. I didn't know quite what it was, but certainly when I was a young kid, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, I wasn't fitting in. And as I got older and I got into middle school, junior high age, it was very clear that I was an outsider. I was outcast. I wasn't happy. And as I got older and I got into high school and puberty hits, things start clicking, and real serious depression starts to set in. Real serious loneliness starts to set in. When I was growing up, they use the term dysphoria a lot to indicate the conflict that goes on inside your head. Basically, you've got your brain is, in our case, our brain is wired to be female, but the body is developing male, and that creates a dysphoria. And my dysphoria when I was growing up manifested itself as violence. I was actually very violent towards my family and anyone that really ticked me off. To the point that when I was 16 and again when I was 18, I had the neighbors call the police for domestic violence on me. When I finally did, my mother refused to press charges, so nothing ever came of that. But when I did go off to college, it was a very eye-opening experience for me. I had learned in junior high and in high school what some of these words that were floating around, very derogatory terms at the time, still are. I had learned a little bit about people that are experiencing gender dysphoria, and I knew in some way I sort of fit into that category. But as I went through high school and I went through college, I tried really, really hard to find some other answer that would let me live my life without actually having to deal with this. Because every story I had read, every book that I looked through, people had miserable lives. Fortunately, times have changed some, and society's gotten a little more accepting, and it's allowed folks like ourselves to actually pursue a transition. And I can tell you, I told my parents January 2004 that I wanted to live my life as a girl, and which actually still wasn't accurate, because as we may get into later, I was a girl. It was just the packaging needed changed. And in 2006, 2007, I started hormone treatments, and I transitioned to full-time just last fall. And the transitioning to full-time, coming out publicly and having friends and family accept me has been a huge sea change in my personality. Instead of waking up in the morning and being depressed and lonely and realizing that I'm just going to exist for the rest of my life because I don't have what it takes to take my own life, I actually wake up in the morning now and there's this huge sense of contentment. There's a real inner grace, a real inner peace that comes along with accepting who you are and moving forward. That takes me up to about now.
Hello, my name is Renee, Benoit. I'm a student here at UVCC. Basically what Callie and Tara had said, it's basically ditto for me as well. I started transitioning back in May of 2006. I joined the PFLAG to start with at ages between 20, 25 years old. And seek counseling at early years, which I also joined a group called 2020 Club. It's a transsexual club out of Hartford, Connecticut. That was in my early years, and in the past, coming out I just came out about 2 years ago. I couldn't really do that prior to, because my folks, they were from the old school and they didn't believe in it. And my mother was sickly, and so I took care of her right up till the very end. And I didn't want to hurt her in any kind of way, so I just waited and put this on the back burner until she passed, and then I proceeded with coming out, and I've been much happier since. And I started on hormone therapy recently, about 2 years now, and that's where it brings me up to date.
I'm going to ask a question now that I remember once a while back, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was at a conference at another university, and it was my duty to introduce someone who was the president of an organization. And I practiced and practiced and practiced. And
Come on in,
please.
lots of seats.
Come on in.
We're lined up at the door.
Bear with me if I don't get this right, but as the person was, as the president of the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transitioning, transgender, transsexual, queer and questioning group. And I've noticed this week when I've been talking with students, there have been students who have not understood all of the vocabulary.
Mhm.
So I thought it would be informative if you would sort of do some of that.
We would love to. And
For us.
I'm going to volunteer Tara to do it.
Oh, good.
She
Because
is,
her name begins with T.
yes, and
Sure.
She is sort of our definition person who very often recites this for us and tells everybody what it all means, and it's a complicated thing. We don't fully understand it, so it's hard. It really is hard, but Tara's got a very good handle on it, so I'm going to ask her to take this.
And I'm going to have to channel Stacy tonight, too.
Okay.
Sure, we'll use the mic. Why not?
There's a lot of different acronyms that fly around. LGBT is the one that most people hear about. The full acronym, if you want to go there, is LGBTQIA. It's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning or queer, intersex, and allies. So basically the idea is that everybody that's in or supports the community is included, that nobody should be excluded. The term transgender frequently gets used in a more of an umbrella capacity to refer to anyone whose gender expression crosses the boundary from their sex. So what we should do first is go over some of those terms.
Excellent.
Sex, you all know about. Sex is what the doctors declare you when you're born. They look at the plumbing, they smack you on the butt, and they say you're a boy, you're a girl. Sexual orientation, most people know about. Obviously, that's whom you're attracted to. Most people think about sex versus sexual orientation in determining whether someone is gay or straight. But one of the things that we throw into the mix is gender identity. Gender identity is your internal presence, what you feel you are.